Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Times of India's news capsule. Today, we are celebrating a special occasion. Obviously, Women's Day, it's the eve of Women's Day, and it's something very important across the world. People are looking forward to and even becoming aware of what women have done on a global scale. So, right from Kalpana Chawla to any other women in any other field that you can talk about, not only women in India, but across the world, even in the most underdeveloped countries, they are making a mark for themselves. To talk about this issue, we have a very special guest here today. Dr. Vibhuti Patel is here. She is a
Hello.
doctorate in these in this particular domain, and she wears many hats when it comes to this particular field. So, ma'am, if I could just get you to please share your experience and your work in this particular field with the audience.
Yeah. I joined women's movement when I was in high school. That was the time towards equality report was being discussed. It was in 1972. I translated several important works into Gujarati, and that's how my acclimatization of the women's movement and feminist movement increased. But also, I was active in the women's movement. When the anti-price rise women's movement started in 74 under the leadership of Mrinal Tai Gore and Alia Rangnikkar and all, I joined that as a student. When I relocated, when I left Baroda and came to Bombay, we started Feminist Network. Was the first feminist group in our country. We
Mhm.
started newsletter in Hindi as well as English. Hindi it was called Sri Sangash. When Mathura, a tribal girl, was raped by two policemen in the Chandrapur police station, and the Supreme Court judgment was extremely abhorrent, misogynist, and extremely objectionable so far as the tribal girl was concerned. Four lawyers of Delhi University challenged the Supreme Court judgment, which I got the copy of it, and we cyclostyled it, circulated nearly 500 copies throughout India, and it was a
Oh.
post-emergency period, so there was a tremendous anger against police brutality against women and weapon
Mhm.
of sexual assault being used against women to demoralize them. And we started Forum Against Rape in Mumbai in 1980, and which
Okay.
in 6 months it became Forum Against Oppression of Women because so many survivors of violence started approaching us. And then I was also
Mhm.
active in the Women's Center, which provided institutional support to women in distress. And then I
Mhm.
joined university. First job I took because after 10 years of full-time activism, I joined the academia and joined Research Center for Women's Studies. So I have one leg in women's studies and another one in women activism. So I have been
Mhm.
active for last 45 years and several campaigns,
Wow.
whether it was against sex selection, dowry
Mhm.
murders, domestic violence, obscene portrayal of women in media,
Mhm.
gender responsive budgeting, financing for gender social transformation. All those
Mhm.
campaigns I have been associated with.
Oh. Ma'am, this year's theme for Women's Day, what is the theme for this year?
This is the break the this year's theme is
Mhm.
this break the chain, no, break the
Okay.
stereotypes. So basically, it is like you have to the symbol of this year's theme is purple, green, and white, and that is purple represents justice and dignity, green represents hope, and also
Mhm.
environmental sustenance. And the white symbolizes purity and
Mhm.
also very much a peace in the which is very much a need of an hour. And it also talks about intersectionality, that we need
Mhm.
to include all gender identities. We should get rid of gender binary, and we should
Mhm.
confront underlying patriarchy in the world in whichever forms it exists. No, so it is
Yeah.
very so this last year it was about how to build the post-COVID society, and
Right.
now it is an equal future in the COVID-19 post-COVID society that we are building. So, women in
Mhm.
leadership, that was a
Mhm.
slogan for the COVID period, that we need to
Mhm.
build back better. So that is the motto. And whatever
Mhm.
gender stereotypes, because all the studies, rapid assessment studies during the uh, pandemic
Yes.
has shown that gender norms have had a very, very debilitating impact, and it is responsible for widening the gender gap in the area of education. So the boy, if you have one smartphone, boys education continues, but currently 1 crore
Yes.
girls are out of school. Or whether it is the
Yeah.
health, the major sacrifice of in terms of health health emergencies women have had. 70% of the health workers are women, but still they don't have any role in the decision making bodies or decision
Hmm.
making even about the public health. So it is an
Hmm.
inclusive approach and the building back the better society by on the foundation of gender equality. No, so break the
Hmm.
bias is the motto of 2022 International Women's Day. Uh,
Okay,
so
so break the bias, absolutely, and this is something that we probably need to do. As you rightly said, that word stereotype, we do tend to do that. Our textbooks many years ago, I think some even now, school books have that "माँ kitchen में खाना बना रही है." These little stereotypes that
yeah,
always happen, and hopefully we'll change. But even those women who have become role models, who have achieved something in life,
huh,
what can they do apart being themselves? What else they can do to
yeah,
encourage others to come
yeah.
and follow their footsteps?
We can break the bias only you begin with yourself. So the change
Hmm.
starts within you, as we in feminist movement say that only when you
Okay.
change the world will change. But
Ha.
you should not be complacent that okay, I have made my
Ha.
place in this patriarchal world, but you
Ha.
have to be. So I don't want to be the superstar, but I have to
Yes.
take people along. You can't
Ha.
just progress yourself. There is no individual solution to breaking the bias.
Hmm.
You have to take the community, you have to negotiate with the friend, you have to, and everything
Hmm.
has to happen on the principle and the foundation of solidarity.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
whether whatever may be your predicament, whatever may be your location, social location, cultural location, geographical location, but there is a
Hmm.
solidarity, and that we all have to work at the level of family, community, society. If you are working at a workplace, if you are studying in the educational institution, in the political arena, in all
Hmm.
these places we have to break the bias. And that's why you have to use your tongue power, lung power, power of writing, power of pen. So I think in a
Hmm. Hmm.
multifaceted way, because patriarchy as a value system is like an octopus. So you remove one tentacle and other seven
The other one
tentacles
comes up.
will continue. So it is very
Yes.
important to have a
Hmm.
multifaceted approach to smash the stereotypes, whether you may use the method of street play or storytelling
Hmm.
or children's song or writing research based articles, providing data, because currently
Hmm.
everyone is screaming about lack of data. Without data, how do we do the targeted intervention? No, so that is,
Hmm.
so breaking inequality, rejecting discrimination wherever we find. We have to
Hmm.
document, we have to research, we have to train, we have to teach, and we have to also act. So it is very important that
Hmm.
on all five fronts
Hmm.
we strike. Then only
But
we'll be able to break the
but
bias.
Vibhuti ma'am, though we say that education is important and all these things, but in even in highly educated families, we do see these stereotypes coming in where they, So how do we address that then?
Yeah, I think we have to address it in terms of first of all, collectively there will be polarization. Definitely currently there is a tremendous polarization. Any women's issue you take up, there is a
Hmm.
polarization. And you have a wave that in the 80s and 90s where the very progressive social movements were there, they
Yeah.
also supported women's movement. All of us used to say nari mukti ke saath saath manav mukti laenge.
Hmm.
Liberation of humankind is not possible unless 50% of the population is liberated. And at the same time, women's liberation can't come in isolation. You have to think of the liberation of humankind. Those were there. But now, so many sectarian forces are also coming in the way, and the identity politics is very divisive. And you have to constantly challenge it. You can never be complacent that because I have achieved something, some little thing, that automatically will have a snowballing effect. So we'll have to continue. This is a phase currently. Like we thought that we feminists have become dinosaur. No? When so in the 80s, when the neoliberal policy started coming, people were saying, "What are you talking? Neoliberalism is only just might is right. No, jo jeeta wahi Sikandar. It believes in individualism, and you feminists are talking of collective endeavor. You have become dinosaur." But that did not happen in 2013 when Nirbhaya was gang raped. Suddenly, all were looking out for feminists because the mass did not have any other solution to say capital punishment, castration. Capital punishment that doesn't solve the problem. Then we all started gender sensitization, and why the mindset has to change. That came. So I don't feel very depressed, because currently you see that a section of women who are privileged and who are enjoying those privileges, they are not sensitive to fellow human being. Okay, that is one particular. So it happens with everything, whether it is a racism or apartheid. There are some renegades are there in every political movement. No, there were in South Africa also there were white women who were enjoying the privileges of racism and apartheid, but that did not deter African women's movement to stop fighting against apartheid. No? So we have to continue uh,
Abs-
our commitment and
Yeah,
action.
right. Just a thing, I just thought of it, and I just wanted to share this with you, and you can kind of tell us if this is true. I feel that in developed countries, let's say America, for example, and ones where we are almost on the path of development, I do see that the global perception is that okay, in America there is a lot of equality between genders, but then if you look at, let's say, the political scene, they still haven't had a female president yet. I mean, they had a candidate as a female president, but no female president. In India, we had a female prime minister.
Not
Bangladesh had
only
female
yeah,
prime
South
minister.
Asia,
Pakistan
whole
do.
of South Asia, because we have a dual
Yeah.
image of woman. Ma, as a Ma, we
Huh.
worship women, and as a
Huh.
Mal, we degrade women. So if woman is treated as as an
Hmm.
object or as a
Hmm.
commodity, she has an
Hmm.
extremely brutal existence. But if
Hmm.
she's put in the pedestal because she's a Saraswati Ma or she's an
Hmm.
incarnation of coverage and all,
Hmm.
then this dualism helps women in South Asia, India, Sri Lanka,
Hmm.
Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, Benazir Bhutto was there.
Yes,
No?
Benazir Bhutto was
So
there.
that is it.
Yes.
Why in the Western world there you have only one mother, that is a Mother Mary, Virgin Mary, who
Hmm.
produced this
Hmm.
thing. So empowered woman who is
Hmm.
playing decision making role in the public life, that icon you don't have. No?
Hmm.
So
So
this
even
culture.
that's what I'm saying. So education, yeah, but culture could be one part of it, because as we said that the brutality that we see, like Nirbhaya, and then you would not hear of such brutal things in the US. I mean,
Right.
you would have crimes against women, yes, of course,
Yeah,
but you wouldn't hear it in countries like those. So I think it's a trade-off somewhere where they at least get the opportunity to do something, whether or not they're able to make it is something else.
as a
Now,
president.
yes, ma'am. In we have heard of many stories about how women from really in tough conditions have made it big. But is there something in your over 4 decades of experience? Is there one or two incidents that really stand out? One or two characters that really
Yeah.
stand out? कि देखो इसने क्या करके दिखाया?
So
Can you
that I
share?
think the organization with which I am currently associated, and right from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, is called Vacha, that works among adolescent girls in the
Mm-hmm.
bastis of Mumbai. More than 20 bastis in Mumbai we are working with. And when the 30 years back, when our work started, we
Hmm.
used to see that these girls, the moment they got their first menstruation, they would be taken to the native place and would be married off. They all were a
Okay.
victim of child marriages, and we
Acha.
decided to work also with their brothers. So we also started camp, gender sensitization camp with the boys,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
they also started supporting their sisters, and they would negotiate with the parents that I will not allow my daughter to be my sister to be taken to the native place for marriage. She is very
Mm-hmm.
good in mathematics. She is very good in studies. And why do you
Mm-hmm.
say that educated women become uncontrollable? On the contrary, look at the didis in our organization. All of
Hmm.
them are so responsible. Even after marriage, they are looking after their parents. They are so
Hmm.
polite. They are so caring. They are so sensitive. And that's
Hmm.
how now, 30 years down the line in our organization, we have more than 100 girls, even more than who have done their graduation, post graduation, BA, BCom, BSc. They have done the law degree, CA, and also physiotherapy, homeopathy. And from the weakest, the poorest of the poor families of Mumbai city, I'm talking to. So that
Right.
gives me inspiration. That little opportunity, little hand holding, or these women, they are doing such an important. This. When I was full timer of women's studies in the women's center in the
Mm-hmm.
80s, all
Mm-hmm.
those women who came totally bruised, bone broken, bleeding from here,
Hmm.
torn clothes, not starved, their children also malnourished, and now all those women, just because they came to women's movement, uh, there was a collective support. There used to be get together, sharing of experiences, hand holding with each other. One woman had she's single, widow. She has a flat, but her income is not enough to support. Well, this woman has a job, but she's driven out of her home. So
Hmm.
they said, "Why
Hmm.
don't you come become my PG?" So support structures created by women who are surviving to struggle, that have created such a good result, that wherever I go in the Mumbai city or anywhere, I meet those women and they are so empowered. And they said, Didi, the way you did hand holding of us, I do the same. This is the message I got. Jod se jod
Ah.
jata ke chalo. So these two things I'll never forget in my life. And my own icon, my Nani, who became widow
Mm-hmm.
at the age of 28 when she had a 4-year-old daughter and 10-year-old son. She put her
Mm-hmm.
foot down and she said she would not shave her head, which was custom among Patels, and wear that
Mm-hmm.
shalu depressing sari. She said she would not. She became a Gandhian. She wore only white. Everything was robbed off her. Her gold, her
Okay.
house, her land, whatever little she
Mm-hmm.
had. She asked husband's colleague to look after
Hmm.
my mother and my mama.
Okay.
And she came to Bombay, did Montessori training under Gijubai Badeka and Tarabai,
Wow.
and went back to Baroda, told the owner of Alembic Chemicals that out of this whole housing society, one bungalow you gave me to start a children's school, Shishukunj. And
Okay.
she started the school. Now that school is now a Alembic Vidyalaya, extremely progressive institution in Baroda city.
Wow.
So this personal icon, my Nani, in my childhood growing up years, that I am not
Mm-hmm.
going to be a stereotypical Patel girl only talking about gold and consumerist lifestyle. I will adopt her lifestyle and this
Wow.
thing and dedicate my life to this education, field of
Wow.
education, which
I've,
and my
I've, mhm.
women's movement icons are these two experiences of women's center as well as marching.
I have no doubt that your Nani would be absolutely proud of you, for
Yeah,
sure.
but
That.
in fact, feminism in India is going to document her life. Yeah.
Okay. My last two questions. This one is about little confrontation that happens when you use the word feminism. Does it automatically kind of spring up ideas like, okay, this is about a fight? Have you
No.
experienced that whenever you say that I'm a feminist? Do people react negatively? No.
There was a stereotype like that, but now see the person
Hmm.
like even the 12th century Lal De in Kashmir,
Hmm.
she expressed her feminism through her
Hmm.
verses. No,
Ji.
Habiba Khatun, who was a princess, that she came
Hmm.
up to a palace and just did
Yes.
create built her own jhopda, and she at the bank of river, and she also dedicated her life to bring
Hmm.
out women's dreams, aspirations, needs, and demands. Mahadevi
Yes.
Akka or Pandita Ramabai,
Yes.
Savitribai Phule. If you read Kavya Phule, she is talking the same which we modern feminists are talking of. You read the
Hmm.
correspondence between Mahatma Gandhi and Rajkumari Amrit Kaur,
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
issues which feminists are discussing today, son
Hmm.
preference, neglect of daughter, custom of
Hmm.
dowry, unequal treatment to son and daughter,
Hmm. Hmm.
housework to be shared. If a husband
Hmm.
uses bad language or ill treats the wife, Gandhiji says that she has a right to leave that she should leave that kind of a unjust environment. And she
Hmm.
also says that if anybody who demands dowry, you reject that proposal. Marriage is not a transaction, it is a union of two souls. This is what the feminists have been talking. All our slogans you see, टीका नहीं, दहेज नहीं, शादी कोई व्यापार नहीं, खरीदा हुआ जीवन साथी हम अब हमें स्वीकार नहीं. When we say, or we say that समानता की स्थिति समाज हमेशा ही है, or we need a society based on the foundation of equality. So I think it is expanding the horizons of our dreams of liberty, equality, equal treatment, mutual respect. No, so I see always feminism has always given me positive vibes. It is not anti-man. It is man and women fighting against unjust social order based on gender inequality or
Right.
subordination of women. So men also are feminists. No, men against violence and abuse.
Absolutely.
Baba Harish Sadani is a feminist. My husband is a
True.
feminist.
Right.
So
Right.
anyone who believes in equality is a feminist.
What would be your last message of this interview for our viewers?
Yeah, my last message very important that I would like to uh, put in place that in last 50 years of feminist activism in India, we have
Hmm.
managed to challenge 5,000 years of patriarchal order, by striking at the roots of exploitation, oppression, subjugation, and degradation of women. And by
Mhm.
deconstructing, and also through praxis, through action, we have challenged violence against women. We have challenged sex-based discrimination at workplace. We have challenged sex-selective abortions. We have challenged unequal treatment between man and women. We have challenged so many barbaric practices such as child marriages and widow burning and female
Mm.
infanticide. But I think what we need, and the series of legal reforms we have had over from
Mm.
1975, when India
Yeah.
accepted the motto of equality, development, and peace, till now is only because of the collective struggle and collective wisdom. Because no one person can own that I have a blueprint for feminism or I have a blueprint for women's liberation. It is the collective wisdom. When we work together, we put our heads together, and we come out with the solution. So I think
Yes.
the Latin American feminist has given us a beautiful slogan: Women united will never be defeated. So I would always say that if you want, you may have a right attitude, you may have a right
Mm.
demand, but when you are alone, you can be isolated, you can be witch hunted. So always try to build solidarities, always, and that is what International Women's Day tells us: solidarity,
Mhm.
sisterhood, and strength of women when they are united in their effort to fight an unjust order.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and I'm sure those who will listen to this interview later on will also enjoy your perspective on things. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I also